What the hell was a goldfish doing playing chess? We'll tell you as WGS-TV reviews Monday Night Raw for the week of December 18, 2017. Hey YouTube, are you ready for your hot tag? Because if you are, it's definitely time to work.
What's up, with man Jackson? You're watching WGS-TV. Oh. Yeah!
What's up, guys? I'm the Wrestle Gamer. Welcome back to another episode of WGS-TV right here on YouTube.com/WrestleGamer. And joining us on the Raw review this week, ladies and gentlemen, the CEO of Hardcore Wrestling Radio, the one, the only, Rick Head. Rick, how you doing?
Well, you know what, I'm doing all right, but after last night's Raw, I definitely need to take some headache pills.
I've stated this many times on my channel before, that these reviews are my opinions and mine alone, and Rick will attest to the exact same thing. And after reading what a lot of people posted on social media with regards to their reactions to Raw last night, there will be a lot of people that will have conflicting opinions with what we have to say. But unlike other people, I don't shut down different views and opinions. I embrace them. And I don't feel like I need to shout it out in anger or use obscene amounts of profanity to attempt to get my points across. I'm pretty sure I got some dislikes on this video already, but anyway, let's talk about Raw. Turning will kick off Raw this week to address the situation from last week with Braun Strowman and Kane, and before he can make his announcement, out would come the Monster Among Men. Braun Strowman to please case that even though the match ended in a double countout, he was the last man standing after the fight. Kane would come out next to make his case that he made last week, that he's never faced Brock Lesnar in his 20-plus year career, and no one was getting ahead of him. Then Paul Heyman would make his presence known to introduce the Universal Champion Brock Lesnar, and just as I expected, Rick, from last week, and people can even view my review from last week, Kurt Angle would announce the triple threat match for the Universal Championship. To me, personally, this was the worst possible decision WWE could have made for this.
You know, I gotta agree with you, Billy. You know, it's clearly a lot of people were suggesting that they were gonna have, you know, a three-way, just triple threat, for the Raw title. I don't call it the Universal title, call it the Raw title. And you know what I wanted to see was have, you know, they could have done last week, which would have been great, or this past Monday, was have Kane versus Braun Strowman in a last man standing match at Raw. That would have been great. Or even just a, you know, a winner must, you know, like the, you know, there must be a winner type match. But unfortunately, yeah, they screwed the pooch on this one.
The usual physical confrontation would take place, to which Lesnar would come out on top just to make him look good in this angle. Personal opinion, I think a one-on-one match would be more doable and sellable, but unfortunately WWE didn't go that route. They went the predictable route, and I hate that. I'm scoring now to 2.5 out of 5. Rick, what's your opinion?
Like I said before, you know, the whole situation is just a debacle. So I think if I have to give it a 1 out of 5, I'll give it a 2.
Up next, it was originally scheduled to be Seth Rollins taking on Samoa Joe until Jason Jordan came out to make his case to Rollins. Pretty much what happened with Jordan and Reigns before is what happened here. It became a match with Rollins and Jordan, with the winner facing Joe later in the evening. And I gotta say, Rick, you know, as much as people don't like Jordan's character, I believe they can't deny that this kid is really talented in the ring and puts on really great matches.
There's no doubt about that. I mean, even, you know, on Four Corner Ranch on Thursday nights, we all talk about, hey, this kid's got talent. You know, when they were American Alpha, it was a great team. Why they broke them up, nobody knows. I guess it's what we call WWE logic, which is stupid logic. But yeah, I mean, I just personally don't like the character. I think the character is doing him an injustice.
Now, if you guys want to disagree with me or anything that both me and Rick have to say, you're more than welcome to in the comment section below, and I do reply to all comments. At one point in this match, Joe would try to interfere and would eat a super kick from Rollins for his troubles, and then it would be the former Raw Tag Team Champion picking up the win with the knee strike to Jordan. The post-match fight with Joe and Rollins was something that I expected to see based on what happened during the match. Personal opinion, a good match to open up the show, Rick. I gotta go 3 out of 5.
It was a good opening match for what it was. You know, like I said, it's this week's Raw for me really did a little bit, but yeah, I guess I can give it a 3 out of 5.
Bray Wyatt would have his first solo vignette in 2 weeks to further the angle between him and Woken Matt Hardy, and I've heard through social media that they will clash on a special 205 Live special event. Now, as far as to the context of what he said, I don't have a freaking clue. That's as far as I can tell you guys. But up next, the story of Finn Balor versus the Miztourage would continue, this time in a 2-on-1 handicap match. For the past couple of weeks, I've been wondering just what they were doing with Balor and the Miztourage, and Rick, I thought at this time that this was just basically a throwaway angle just to fill time on Monday Night Raw.
That's exactly what it was. It was a filler. There was no, like I said, there was a few good matches, but that one was really not it. And again, yeah, that was out of desperation.
If I have to say the best match out of the whole three, I gotta say Bo Dallas had the better match over Curtis Axel, because last week's match with Curtis Axel was a complete joke. But anyway, Miztourage would end up getting disqualified in the match, and as they were beating down Balor, out would come Hideo Itami to make the save for his friend. It would lead into a tag team match, which signified Itami's Monday Night Raw debut. And with this being his debut, you gotta make him look good. And they did just that with him in this match. One thing that they did heavily promote during this match is that Itami is now also a part of the Cruiserweight division, which to me is a good fit for him. Balor would also be a good fit too, considering he does meet the weight requirement for it, but I don't think WWE will put Balor on 205 Live anytime soon. The finish of the match was Itami hitting the GTS on Axel to pick up the win. Personal opinion, I'm glad to see Itami finally make it to the main roster, Rick. 3.5 out of 5. What are your thoughts?
Well, let me say one thing. I have no real love for Hideo Itami. You know, the guy is, you know, how long was he out with how many injuries? At least 2 or 3 over the past, what, 8 or 9 months?
Yeah. Mostly around the shoulder. Mostly around the shoulder, I believe.
Yes, and then he had a neck injury while doing a house show in NXT earlier this year. So again, it was like back-to-back injuries. And, you know, that tells me that, you know, the guy's, I hate to say, he's a klutz. You know, a lot of people use, well, you know, he's from Japan and he can't, you know, he can't make the transformation to, you know, over to the American professional wrestling, which I think is a cop-out. I watched him do the GTS, and I hate to say it, but CM Punk does it better. And Hideo was the one who created it.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. But I personally believe if Itami, and that's a big if Itami can stay healthy, then he's a good talent for WWE. But if he continues to be plagued by the injury bug, then I don't see him having much of a future in WWE, let alone professional wrestling. Up next, it was Cedric Alexander taking on Drew Gulak, with the winner becoming the new #1 contender for the Cruiserweight Champion. Quick sidebar, is that a term that's just lost in today's show, #1 contendership? I'm just saying. Enzo Amore was on commentary to help put over the match and his future title defense until he apparently got a tweet from Nia Jax telling him to check his DMs, and since I rarely use Twitter myself, I have no freaking clue as to what he's talking about. Now, as far as the match goes, I felt a little disappointed considering how good the Fatal 4-Way matches were the previous weeks, but not by much. Amore's departure from the announcer's table distracted Gulak enough for Alexander to hit the lumbar check to pick up the win and the #1 contendership. Personal opinion, I kind of expected Alexander to win, and this thing with Nia Jax and Enzo still kind of weirds me out. And the only question I have to say to end this part, Rick, is, can anyone tell me how Gulak ended up with a bloody mouth?
That I honestly do not know. I know we took. I paid very little attention to the match for the same reason, because we knew that Cedric Alexander was pulling off the win. This is because of the whole situation with Rich Swann, is why he had his revoked. They should have been able to build from there, but unfortunately they had to rebuild. Hit the reset button, and the fact that whatever the fuck his name, fucking moron, the certified moron, was heading out back. Obviously, that was a distraction causing the win for Cedric Alexander.
I'm gonna give that match a 3 out of 5.
I'll say 2.5 out of 5 again. I was not really enthralled with a lot of these matches.
But one thing I am enthralled with, and one of my favorite reasons to watch Monday Night Raw as of late, is seeing who I deem to be the hottest woman in WWE, the Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka, as she took on Alicia Fox, who is still wearing her captain's hat from Survivor Series. Can anyone, this is a question I have, Rick, can anyone explain to me why Booker T was attempting to down-talk Asuka's accolades?
Well, I think he's trying to play the heel role, and he doesn't really do that well. I mean, don't get me, again, I have all the respect for, for Asuka. Yes, she's extremely hot, in both her body and as far as her winning streak. But, he does have to make a point. Sooner or later, you have to lose. You're not going to go on an undefeated streak. Sooner or later, you will lose. And I think that was the point. But I think that Corey Graves took it the wrong direction. You can't go in there every week saying, I'm not going to lose. I'm not going to, you know what I mean? It's an unrealistic belief. Sooner or later, you're going to lose. I don't care who you are.
I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, that she's already surpassed Goldberg's undefeated record from WCW. So where they go next and who they deem to be the person to end that streak, it still remains to be seen. The Empress would continue her dominance as she would lock in the cross-arm breaker on Fox to pick up the win. Personal opinion, anytime I see Asuka, it's a great thing to me. I can't wait to see her utilized more, especially when it pertains to the Raw Women's Championship, and it's only a matter of time before we do see her as the champion on Monday Night Raw. Rick, I'm going to go 3 out of 5. What's your opinion?
Well, again, Asuka, great wrestler. The thing, though, is since she's been up to Raw, one-on-one matches have been against jobbers. So while some people could consider that a win, I consider that just a pat on the back and saying, we want to keep you streak a little bit longer. I hate to say it, but it was basically, Asuka versus a jobber. So I can't put that much into it. Asuka, great wrestler, but the match kind of sucked.
If one could kind of have a frame of reference for that, one could also say the same thing with Goldberg's undefeated streak. The majority of Goldberg's wins were against jobbers or talent enhancement people.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, same thing with Ryback. Remember when Ryback first came out, he was just destroying everybody. Not on the streak that Goldberg had, but I never liked Goldberg. Never once had any respect for the guy. And that's just for a completely different subject for another time. But I think they're doing that with her because obviously she still has a strong fan favorites. So they want to keep that rolling while the frying pan's still hot, so to speak.
Up next, it was a 6-man tag team match as Samoa Joe and The Bar took on Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, and Jason Jordan. The majority of this match had Rollins in the match taking a beating from Joe and The Bar until the outside confrontation between the teams that saw Ambrose get the better of them until the Rollins dived to the outside and Ambrose began clutching his arm, and the referee called over the ringside doctor to take a look at him, which led to Rollins eating the bro kick from Sheamus as The Bar and Joe pick up the win. Now, before I get into my personal opinion, I've read a lot of reports today, Rick, that injury to Dean Ambrose was a legit injury. Have you read any of those reports? I
read those reports, and personally I'm going to call bullshit because you saw the injury, okay? Now, when you're injured, you're out, especially with the shoulder. If you watched, the Bar was targeting that shoulder. So, when you're injured, you don't target that same shoulder.
Well,
now, I could be wrong, but that doesn't make no sense to me.
You do have a point, so this could be a kayfabe injury for all we know. But anyway, personal opinion, where was Roman Reigns in all this? Isn't this angle kind of centered around Reigns and Joe for the Intercontinental Championship?
Actually, that's a very good point. I'm going to have to... I haven't checked my records today. I got to, do a little bit more snooping. I don't know. I don't know if he's injured or if they're trying to keep him off TV for a while. No idea. I think it's more about the whole Jason Jordan thing, so everyone's like, okay, fine, I'll take a couple weeks off. I honestly don't think that's the point, but I'll have to look and find out.
Usually I'm not too big on six-man tag team matchups, but for what this was, I gotta say, Rick, this was okay. I'm gonna score it a 2.5 out of 5.
Yeah, you know, that's a fair assessment. You know, again, Jason Jordan, great wrestler, but they're stretching the storyline out way too far. This should have been, like, done 2 or 3 weeks later between, you know, Daddy Angle and Baby Jordan.
Can someone please explain to me why Woken Matt Hardy was having a chess match with a goldfish? Anybody?
You know, I'm going to tell you, because WWE saw that the broken Matt Hardy, you know, concept over on Impact was, you know, was working. For a while, it really was, you know, an entertaining show, or entertaining segments. But before they even left the, you know, Impact Wrestling, it started to die out. And WWE, they bring something over and they say, oh, we can rehash that. And it's been nothing but it's an embarrassment. I even said last week, it's the worst, you know, the Bray Wyatt, the Matt Hardy angle was a complete waste of time. It's garbage.
Here's an interesting question. Does Matt Hardy have creative control of his current character right now in WWE?
The rumor is yes, that he has full creative control. I tend to believe that he has a good creative control, but, you know, Vince has a strong, you know, loop around his neck and saying, okay, I don't know if this isn't working. And again, you know, what I saw last week, I'm like, okay, I need you to go take a shit because that'll be less painful.
Up next, it was the return of Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder of the Revival as they took on Heath Slater and Rhino. Revival looked like they didn't miss a step after being plagued with injuries at the bad part of 2017. The match was good, as the finish of the match was the Revival hitting the Shatter Machine on Slater to pick up the win. Personal opinion? I feel that if it wasn't for the injury bug plaguing the Revival, they could very well be in the spot that the Bar is currently in right now. Rick, what do you think?
Absolutely. You know, these guys, they're no nonsense. They're great wrestlers. Now, the funny thing is they call them no flips, just fists. And our good friend Joseph Knight, who's worked in the Indies, said, you don't want to do all these crazy moves. You want to do basic wrestling moves. And here's was a tag team that was based around basic wrestling moves, and they had the most injuries this year, unfortunately. And I don't mean to laugh. I just kind of find that a little bit ironic.
With Kurt Angle approaching Slater and Rhino backstage telling them that they gotta toughen up, I kind of shudder to think that what they're going to do with them. And I wonder if it will have anything to do with cheese and crackers. But anyway, my score for that one, Rick, is a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, I can definitely give it a 3 out of 5, including the incident out back between Kurt Angle, Rhino, and Slater. You know, Rhino was like, you know, we need to up our game, and he seems to want to be a little bit more serious this time as opposed to a big joke. You know, he's like the comic relief. Oh, you know, I got kids, and this and that, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay. So where they go with this, whether they split them up, or if they, you know, maybe rise to the challenge and, you know, add another tag team, a respectable tag team to the division, you know, who knows? That remains to be seen.
I'd still like to know how in the world he got over on the crowd with the I Got Kids gimmick. But anyway, Elias would once again attempt to sing a song, much to the praises of Michael Cole, which is something I still don't understand. But thankfully, he would get interrupted by Sasha Banks, Mickie James, and Bayley, who was just looking for a hug from Elias. And I mean, who would turn down a free hug from Bayley?
You know, I found that was kind of interesting. He's just kind of looking like, I don't think so.
Yep.
That was probably one of the funnier spots. Excuse me, one of the funniest spots of the night.
Yeah, but anyway, that would lead to the 6-woman tag team match again with them against Absolution, and for the majority of the match, it was Banks taking the heat until the other Absolution members went after Bayley and James on the outside. Banks would then attempt a seated senton on Paige for the win, but it was broken up by the other members of Absolution. The matchup would then get thrown out as the beatdown of Banks continued until Nia Jax made her presence known, took out DeVille and Rose, but would get taken down by Paige. But before the beatdown could commence, out would come the Raw Women's locker room to make the save until Stephanie McMahon would come out and make the major announcement of the very first Women's Royal Rumble match. Personal opinion. I've stated on previous reviews that rarely I and other YouTubers in the YWC see eye to eye on anything WWE related. I know that the announcement of the Women's Royal Rumble match has been met with some harsh criticism. I, however, think it's a great idea. The WWE Women's Division today is a lot better than when it was known as the Divas Division, and the women on both Raw and SmackDown are indeed talented enough to put on a good Royal Rumble match. Rick, what's your opinion?
Well, you know what? I have to agree with you on some aspects. Let's first get over to the announcement. I think why a lot of people get upset because they knew it was coming. They saw it coming. And that was when Absolution came up, thus expanding the roster even further. And then you have the Riot Squad, which will be on tonight. So you saw it blending together. It wasn't something that just happened overnight. And I think that was something that would really piss people off. As far as the match went, I think, the whole announcement, I like it. I'd like to see it, and I think it's time for some changes. But keep in mind, the WWE was not the first company to do all these specialty matches. There were other matches such as Ring of Honor, a lot of indie shows, including Impact Wrestling, which we've seen all these type of matches before.
Didn't Ring of Honor just recently crown their first ever women's champion? I think they call it the Woman of Honor at their latest Final Battle pay-per-view. I could be wrong.
I haven't followed them as much as I should have, but I honestly don't know, so I don't have an answer for that one.
And if you guys think that I'm wrong or Rick's wrong about anything that we've had to say, you're more than welcome to tell us in the comment section, and let's have a discussion about this. 3 out of 5 is my score for that part, Rick.
Again, 3 out of 5. This whole show is pretty much around that level. But yeah, I'll definitely have to agree.
Overall score of Raw this week gets a 3.25 out of 5 with best match of the night going to Rollins versus Jordan with weirdest segment of the night going to Woken Matt Hardy playing a game of chess with a goldfish. How can a goldfish play a game of chess? Just saying. Rick, over to you. What's your overall score and your picks for best and worst match or segment of Monday Night Raw this week?
Jordan and Rollins definitely was the best match tonight, and yeah, Matt Hardy playing goldfish with playing chess with goldfish was like kind of foolish. But again, he's trying to span off of what he was doing over on Impact Wrestling. We saw if you watch over on Impact, you saw the slow development of Matt Hardy, where he was kind of like literally broken. He would look like he was on meth or on heroin or whatever. He could barely talk, and then he slowly developed into the weirdness of Woken Matt Hardy. Woken Matt Hardy just jumped out of the middle of nowhere. And his segments over on Impact again was great because they had his son King Maxwell, and they had a giraffe, which he would always have conversations with, who he called George Washington. Abraham Lincoln. So, again, that was kind of the funny parts, but the chess with the goldfish, I'm like, no. Time for something new. Oh, wait, it's Matt Hardy. He doesn't know how to do new things.
Well, guys and gals, that's been our opinions on Monday Night Raw this week. We want to know from you guys out there, the viewers and subscribers, your thoughts on Raw this week. What are your overall scores? What are your picks for best and worst match or segment of Monday Night Raw this week? Definitely want to hear what you guys have to say. Be sure you put your comments in the comment section below. If you guys like this video, be sure you slam that like button. Like it, Chimp. Rick, where can fans check you out for HWR?
Well, pretty much, if you want to check us out, just use the hashtag HWR chatroom. That's over on Facebook in the group section. Every Thursday night at 8 o'clock, HWR, we have a live four-corner rants. We want you to come on in, join the conversation. We cover news. I write blogs. Right now, I'm kind of working on I do other blogs on movies and stuff right now, but I'm working on a few, personal blogs on wrestling. You'll have to go over there and check them out. And, absolutely come on over and post your own thoughts. That's what HWR is all about. We want to hear what you got to say.
And if you guys want to see more of wrestling talk with awesome gameplays right here on the channel, you know the two ways you got to do it. You got to leg up the subscribe button and hit that bell icon to turn on notifications. That way you guys will never miss out on another video right here on my channel. So with my special thanks to Rick Head of HWR, I am your friendly neighborhood Russell Gamer, reminding all of you guys out there to stay awesome. Bye guys!